The Chicago Bulls announced Derrick Rose jersey retirement night. On today's episode, me and Pat are to discuss why it's not just nostalgia when it comes to Derrick Rose. We're also talking about training camp and Dalen Terry working with Steve Nash, of all people. We're talking about all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Oh, wait. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Bulls.
Remember, started off typing for some reason wrong.
Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat, the designer, host, and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Hayes, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central, Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. Pat, the Bulls have announced Derrick Rose night is going down January 24th. I will be in Chicago for that. I don't know if we'll be going to the game. We'll see what me and Pat can do, but I will be in Chicago. There's no way I'm not going to be in Chicago for that night. But, there's already been the talk that the Bulls are relying too much on nostalgia. We can get into that. I want to focus, though, first on how do you feel about Derrick Rose jersey retirement night officially being set? We'll be taking on the Boston Celtics that night as well.
I think great game to pick, because of one of the most memorable playoffs. It's crazy. Like, one of the most memorable playoff series of Derrick Rose's career is not him making the Eastern Conference Finals and going toe-to-toe with LeBron by himself. It truly is that first playoff series where 1-8 versus the Boston Celtics.
You think that's Derrick Rose's best playoff series?
I think that's I think that's one of the most memorable of his career.
Okay, that's fair. That's right.
Like, I think
he played the best against the Miami Heat until that game where they put LeBron on him. But I get what you're saying as far as memorable series.
Yeah, sure. I think it's the most memorable game or series of his career. It was really when he stamped himself as on the scene, and the team goes out versus the Boston Celtics. Plus, they saw, on Derrick Rose night last year, the Bulls pulled some magic out and found a way to win that game. So, they're probably hoping that they can do that again. Is this anywhere near a play-in, getting out of play-in game? What's those things called? In-season tournament game? Is it?
That's hilarious.
But no, man, I love it. I'm glad that Derrick is getting the honor. There were people that were like, he shouldn't be up there, or his name shouldn't be. Like, clearly one of the best players we've ever had in our franchise. Has been the only player that's really contributed to consistent winning in this franchise's last 25 years of history. So.
Well, him and Joe.
Well, yeah, him and Joe.
Can't count out Joe. Can't count out Joe,
but Joe not gonna make the rafters.
You can't count out
Joe not gonna make the rafters.
And technically, if we're being, he's not gonna make the rafters. But technically, Joakim Noah has more wins without Derrick Rose than Rose has without Joakim Noah. Just if you're being there technical, we were still number 2 team in the East the whole season without Derrick Rose being there. And Joakim Noah got MVP consideration that year.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was
put some respect on his name.
There's no disrespect to Joe, but there's some people that's gonna get in these rafters and some that's not.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, in all honesty,
in the rafters.
Keep in mind the Bulls started the Ring of Honor, and they basically said it when they started the Ring of Honor. We're doing this because we're not retiring any more jerseys. 2 years later, they're retiring Derrick Rose's jersey, so that shows you how the importance that he has to the franchise. Yeah. He's joining Pip, Jordan, Bob Love, and Jerry Sloan in the rafters. Is going to be Derrick Rose is going to be number 5 there. So that's a huge honor. What do you think though, Pat, about, of course, the already people that says, oh my God, the Bulls are nostalgia baiting this, having another jersey retirement night, making this another big deal. I have my opinion on it, where I think Derrick Rose, the what he has meant to the franchise, he deserves to get acknowledged for his retirement, and then he deserves to have his jersey retired. Like, it usually happens 2 separate nights. There are usually players, they don't have their jersey retired until 3-4 years after they retire. So the fact that it happens back-to-back years, I don't take that as nostalgia baiting. What about you, Pat?
I think sure it is. Like, they're not gonna do anything that's gonna make you feel different about the franchise this year. Like, we kind of feel at best, right? They get Josh Giddey in here and they're competitive for a 6 seed. So sure, like, you're trying to take Bulls fans' focus away. And truly what they're trying to do, like, let's not get it twisted. They're trying to get people to buy CHSN. That's what it is. You remember the spike up in the packages last year for the Derrick Rose?
Now that also coincided with it being available on. It wasn't just the Derrick Rose night. It also got available over the air when they came out with their app at the same time.
Yeah, but no one was buying antennas.
Well, yeah, because you try to get humans to buy something extra. No, like people are lazy. But
so
if you
that's
say,
what I mean.
If
like
you say, hey, you no longer need that app. All you got to do is download this app and sign up. Of course, you're going to see a spike in subscriptions being raised at that point. People don't like getting up and going to the store, Pat. I don't know if you know this or not. America's fat. People don't like if you tell them, hey, you gotta get up out your house, you gotta walk your happy tail down to goddamn CVS and get this antenna. They're gonna be like, you know what? I don't even know if it's the right antenna. I'm not gonna do it. You tell the same fathead person, hey, just open this app up on your phone and download it from the app store. Of course, subscriptions are gonna go up.
Well, I think what it was is though, like you're trying to get people to commit to buying CHSN. You want these moments. Because what more than likely is going to happen is you're going to sign up, forget about it, and just be like, $7.99. I'm watching the Bulls. I don't care that much. Like, we know how these things go. So I do think there's a little bit of nostalgia baiting to try to get mugs in here.
In that case, then everything's nostalgia. Like, regardless of when they did it, it was going to be nostalgia bait.
Well, listen, yeah.
Well, listen, yeah, of course.
There's not a lot of winning going on here, Hayes. They got to do
well,
something.
Winning, that's the thing, though. You can nostalgia bait while you win. It's like nostalgia baiting is its own thing. You can do that regardless if you're winning or not.
Not really. Like, I'm not that nostalgic if I'm having fun right now. I'm more nostalgic if it's
you
like,
don't think, if you don't think people are still going to be like, if the Bulls were winning 50 games and they came out and wanted to nostalgia bait, you don't think people going to be like, you know what? I'm good on that. We're winning 50 games now. No, they're still good. You may be different in that.
Here's where I push back on that. What year did the Warriors win their first championship? Well, not first championship, but what year did the Warriors win they with this team, I should say? With the Steph Curry, 2015.
Okay.
There's no announcement on the 10-year anniversary of them winning their first championship this season in Golden State. Well, they don't care because they still trying to win right now.
Yeah, that's true, but I think that's also because the two people that are still base of that, they're still actively playing. Regardless, if they were winning, let's say that the two timeline thing worked. And Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman were now leading the Golden State Warriors, and Steph, Clay, and Draymond were off that team. They absolutely do a 10-year anniversary, even if they were winning 50 games. They would absolutely do a 10-year anniversary. Andre Iguodala would walk his bad hairline, have himself in that building, and they would be having a 10-year anniversary night.
You can still do it. Most of that team is not in the league.
True, but I'm saying the fact that there's so many people that are in there that, and also Clay's still playing. Like I just think I get what
you
you're
have
saying.
it when Dallas come to Golden State.
But I think you usually have. I don't think you've ever seen a 10-year anniversary of a team that's still actively playing. Even when the Bulls, like, I don't think you see that. I think usually you see that if that team is gone and most of that team is retired and moved on. I don't think you usually see, even if it is the start of a dynasty, a huge 10-year anniversary thing, if the majority of that core of players is still actively playing in the NBA. The three guys are still all on NBA teams.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't see a lot of teams that are winning do like, we're gonna honor this team. Usually it's the teams that aren't winning a ton.
Damn Dallas Mavericks brought Dirk back the same year they went to the finals.
Brought Dirk back the same year they went to the finals. What you mean?
They
gave him a statue that year.
Huh?
They gave him the statue that year.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. According to you, teams wouldn't do that if they were still winning and celebrated. They did the Dwayne Wade. That was the same year, the year after they went to the finals, they were winning. I'm just saying,
they didn't go to the finals.
Nostalgia bait when teams are winning, bro. Like I
don't know if it's bait then though. Like I'm not trying to get you to come.
I'm saying.
Well, I don't know if it's bait then. I'm not trying to get you to come to the stadium. I'm not trying to get you to come see a product.
The Bulls sell out every single game.
Yeah, but see, I think a lot of people that don't go to enough games don't realize it's not fans in there.
Oh yeah, no.
You go in there and it's people having business meetings and getting sales done. This dude cheating on his wife over here. Like,
at least nobody got caught on the Jumbotron cheating.
That's not true. We have seen that happen at a United Center game. I've definitely seen I've seen a duck out.
It wasn't the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company.
It was not
though.
a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company that is now suing, what was that, Coltrane that did that?
That's hilarious. With that said, we're going to move into the next topic where Joe Cowley once again rips the Chicago Bulls front office, but not really rips. I actually agree with a lot of what he said in this article. We'll talk about all that, but first we got to get into a message from FanDuel.
I ain't going to make it.
Coming back from the weekend. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on the NFL season's predictions. So whether you're calling for an MVP, eyeing a long short division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. So if you want to take a flyer on the MVP race and pick Caleb Williams, which would definitely be a flyer if that ends up the case, you can get your pick in there and get even more money from FanDuel. Visit the FanDuel app and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel. Play your game. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. All right, Pat. Joe Cowley talks about AK. And in this article, I will say this. This was one of the more articles that were balanced. He did start off saying, hey, AK has built a roster with some pretty solid talent on it, but we're missing a number one, is what Joe Cowley basically got into this article, and then went on to question AK's motivations to get that true number one on this team, questioning if development's going to come within, and even saying that, it seems like the Bulls are really locked into thinking that number one may already be on the team and developing that. But then towards the end of the article, talk about the Bulls and not going after a top 5 pick to make sure they can get that guy. It's really a battle of warring mindsets. Do you feel like AK is just once again building towards the middle? Do you think this path, since moving off the older guys, going younger and betting on that development of those young players, is it? Or do you think eventually we are going to look at this and say, the same place that we were with the Baby Bulls there, like with Ben, Kirk, and Lou before Derrick Rose got there? It was a good team. It was a solid team. It was a team that could win a lot of regular season games, but never got looked at as a actual contender until Derrick Rose came here. How are you feeling about the mold that now the AK is building this team towards?
I think I've consistently said that's exactly what the Bulls are right now. You put a star on this team, that's a heck of a basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
You drop one single, like not even a star, like somebody that you like, he is going to help us win 40 games, and the rest of these pieces are going to get us the extra 5 to 10 wins.
Yeah.
You got a heck of a basketball team right now. The question is, do you have a star? And right now, doesn't feel like you do. Feels like you got really good pieces that can, step up in a pinch and make some good plays, but it doesn't feel like you have that guy who you can count on game in and game out every day. This is your day to go out there and cook somebody. And that's what you need in the NBA to go out there and win a lot of games. Like, can you be a competitive team without that? Sure. I think we've seen that over the course of time. Like,
yeah, for sure.
There's always been teams like that. There was, the Knicks teams with Raymond Felton were that way. The Denver Nuggets teams also with Raymond Felton, oddly enough, were that way. like there were all these teams that you could look at and say, that this is a competitive team that'll go out there and give their all every night. That's where I think the Bulls are at right now after what we saw last season, which is a step in the right direction.
So I talked a little bit about this on Central today, Pat, and you can tell me if you feel my definition or my thinking on this is off. The way I define having a true number one, to me, is if you look at a guy on your roster and you say, this player alone, by just solid roster construction, we can not only make the playoffs, we can probably win a playoff series. I don't think you can say you have a true number one until you feel that way. That you say, hey, by having Anthony Edwards on this team, we know we're at bare minimum going to make it out the first round. And even then, depending on the depth of the team that you're facing, you could shake there. But I don't think you have a number one until you have that guy. You have your leading scorer in Coby White. Cool. Yeah. You got your leading playmaker in Josh Giddey. Cool. You got your leading up and comer in Matas. Cool. But none of those guys, to me, as much as I do like those players individually, have proven to be themselves a true number one on a team, because we haven't achieved anything with those guys yet.
You won't have your true number one until your expectation is playoffs, right? And we had one of those players with DeMar. It felt wrong that we weren't making the playoff. It was like somebody's messing up, somebody's doing something wrong, because DeMar's putting his team on his back every night, and y'all ain't making the playoffs. It's not leading to anything. Right? You felt like you had a team that had enough talent there that you should have at the minimum been in the playoffs, not in the play-in tournament. I I don't feel that way about this team. If we're being honest, if the Bulls come out this year and they are like fighting for the 8th seed, which is still technically playing in tournament, but was an original playoff spot, like you made improvements. That's what you have with a brand. I don't want to say new because a lot of these pieces are still the same, but like when you're building an up and coming team, like last year, 6 was fine for the Orlando Magic. This year, I think we expect them to be one of the top 4 teams with some of the additions they made. You know what I mean? Like it's just your expectation year over year is to get better. I think we're at the beginning of that with this young Bulls team. I know it's a lot of the same pieces that have been there through the DeMar DeRozan and the Zach LaVine years, but like there's a lot hinging on Matas being a better player than he was last year. Are we going to see that? Hope is that we do. The hope is that he turns into this dominant force, that he's going to be consistently able to get to the bucket and be somebody who's a, 18 to 20 point scorer. But that's a big jump from year 1 to year 2. And that's a jump that stars make. So you just got to, I can't have that expectation until I see who the player is that makes that jump. I think as much as I want Matas to take the next step, I think both of us would be surprised if Matas came out and he was a consistent 21 point per game scorer.
Yeah, and like I said before, no knock on Matas really when it comes down to that, but it's just that's a large leap, and I think sometimes people can forget how big of a leap that is. Like to go from Matas, getting 12 points per game as a starter last year, something like that, up to 18, like even up to 16. That's a pretty large leap. That's why you usually see it in stages, right? It's like you usually see a player come in 10 to 12 their first year, 15, 16 their second year, and then usually by year 3 or 4, that's when they go consistently over 20. And especially with the team like the Bulls that still do have Vooch is still on this roster. He's going to need his shots. Of course, Coby and Giddey. So we'll see what happens with Matas, but the Bulls don't have a true number 1 yet. And I don't care what a stand of any of the players say here. I love the Chicago Bulls through and through, and I want to see a lot of these players stay, but we don't have a true number 1 yet. And that's just the reality.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know if you got a number 2 yet.
I think depending on the makeup of the roster, Coby can be a number 2. But I'm not saying that you're wrong with how you're thinking. I just think it depends on the gravity of your number 1. But I get what you're getting at.
Is Coby consistent enough offensively to be a number 2 yet?
I think if he can maintain what he did last year, yes. Last year was the most consistent Coby year. I think that last year gave me more thought that Coby can be, because he only had one bad, where we talk about 3-4 stretches of Coby not shooting. He had one last season. If he can,
shooters have bad stretches.
Exactly. If he can do that, then yes, I feel confident about Coby being a number 2. But again, that depends on the gravity of the number 1 that you have. Your number 1 then not only have to be a playmaker, defender, and a scorer.
And I think that's the thing, right? Like it's on this team, can Coby be a number 2? Sure. But I think that says more about, the level that our number 1s are at right now.
Yeah. And that's
fair. You know what I mean? Like if Matas I don't think it's that hard for Matas to become a number 1 on that team. Now, what he actually has to do to accomplish that, I think it's difficult, but like it's almost like the Bulls are kind of, if Matas comes out and he scores 17 the first game, they're probably gonna be like, keep shooting.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess we got the keys. Here's your car. See how far you can drive it before you crash. Like, I don't think that it's going to take that much to leapfrog into this is the focal point and what we're going to build that team around, because the Bulls have so many questions on that team. And because of that, like, I think where we view Coby as a number 2, not to say he's bad, but like, a number 2 guy still has to be a main piece on this team that is involved in a lot more than just every now and then he gives you a 40-point game. I got Bradley Beal for that. I can go get Bradley Beal if I want to do that. You know what I mean?
No, but I get what you're saying. Like you're basically saying, and correct me if I'm wrong. Don't let me put words in your mouth. But I think that if Coby is an actual 20 to 22 points every night, you feel more confident in it. 100%. Not an average of 20, 22 every night, but actually he scores 20 to 22 points every single game.
Well, and my thing is, right, the efficiency, the consistency, like your number 2 has to be Klay Thompson. And I get he's one of the best players to ever do it. But when you look at a guy like Klay Thompson, a true number 2, Klay Thompson did everything well that picked up the slack of Stephen Curry. That's what your number 2 should be. If there was a matchup in the Michael Jordan world that Listen, yeah, I mean, we want to see everything, and Jordan was always going to dominate every situation he was in. But there were some matchups that didn't benefit Michael Jordan to be the scorer you needed him to be.
Like, let's be clear here. Jordan could do nothing with Sean Kemp. You needed Pip for that.
You needed Pip.
You needed Pip for that.
You needed that guy where it's like, hey, I'm going to pick up the stuff. And not even to say, I think Jordan could have done something with Sean Kemp, but it's going to take away from Michael Jordan on the offensive end. We can't do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, defensively, can he get to him? Yeah, he can steal the basketball. He'll find a way to figure it out. But it's going to take away him scoring on the offensive end. And so for me, like, that is where your number two is. Does Coby White pick up the slack of whoever becomes the number one? Yeah. That's the big question that I think you have coming into this season on if you have a true number two. And I personally don't believe you have that right now. But we got to talk about it. Maybe we got a number two coming out and an unexpected player here with I couldn't even make the joke. I'm sorry.
That's a wild joke, my boy. That's crazy.
Dalen Terry's traded with Steve Nash. Does it matter at all? We'll talk about that coming up next. But first, a word from Open Phone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had an urgent need, maybe for a plumber or a service provider. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That's why you need Open Phone. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. All you got to do is let Open Phone manage the business calls and text from a single app. They have a shared inbox feature that is a game changer. Your team can jump into any conversation instantly without a beat, and their AI agent handles after-hour calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so you never miss a customer. Open Phone is offering my listeners 20% off your first month at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have an existing number with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. More Locked On Bulls coming up next. Almost had it.
Dang it. Almost had the perfect smooth transition. All right, Pat. Dalen Terry, who, keep in mind, a couple of weeks ago we talked about Dalen Terry actually still working with Peter Patton, the Bulls' former head of player development. He hired him to help work with him on his shooting in the offseason. He was now seen working with Steve Nash on playmaking and passing. Now, that theoretically, those are the two things that you want to see Dalen Terry be able to do, right? You want to see him to be a more of a better half-court passer because he did come into the league as a guard. I mean, he's been more kind of the 2-3, but if he can pass more and the shooting, like if Dalen Terry could do those two things, this is the last year of his rookie scale deal. He's going to be a restricted free agent this year. But for what it's worth, Pat, I went back and looked. Dalen Terry's worked with some people every offseason. He was working out with Anthony Edwards after his rookie year. He did some work with him. He's worked out with Tyrese Halliburton before. So Dalen has always done a pretty good job of putting himself around really good NBA players and trying to learn and absorb some things from them. But how do you feel about these latest developments for Dalen?
This is going to sound mean, man. It don't help. You just named all them people he didn't work with. Dalen Terry averaging 2 points a game. That man is averaging a basket. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I get it. It's offseason. I know we got to find something to talk about. But Dalen Terry traded with Steve Nash. What's the situation that Dalen Terry is going to utilize everything that Steve Nash has given? Oh, he's running point forward, and
I mean, I do think we saw some opportunities. Like Dalen is a really good passer in transition. Half court, he's been absolutely terrible. But I think we saw some of it last year. We saw the problem with Dalen is like we never saw everything in one game, right? We saw the game where he made 5 of 6 from 3.
Yeah.
We saw the game where Trae Young, they tried to put Trae Young on him. He was like, oh, I could actually take him to the bucket every single game. We saw that. We've seen some solid passing games from him. This has to be a season where Dalen Terry got to show that he can do something consistently.
Here's my thing. If Steve Nash, DT is a bucket, one bucket.
One bucket.
Shout out Jamal. If Steve Nash can fix Dalen Terry throwing half-court passes where it's like his entire shoulder and body is telegraphing the pass like he's throwing a key blast in Dragon Ball Z, then yeah, that's help enough, because that be getting on my nerves. It'd be like,
speaking of,
well,
we brought Super Saiyan 4 back.
Yeah, I did see that.
Did you see they brought Super Saiyan? I'm sorry, nerd stuff. You brought up DBZ, bro. I had
pretty fire.
You know. Anyway, keep going, Pat. My bad.
But yeah. No, listen. I like Dalen Terry. Here's the thing, right? My hope for Dalen Terry is that there is a campaign career jump.
That's actually a really good. I like that comparison because campaign was absolutely terrible here, and then contributed to a team that they went to the finals. Right, he was on that.
He's one of the worst players I've ever watched with my own eyes.
Yeah, bro. Like campaign playing basketball was just bad, bro. It was terrible.
I remember. I'll never forget this. I was watching campaign warm up, and listen, I don't know what the drill was, but he was on like the little, they put tension on you, kind of to pull back so that you get the tension when you shoot. And it throws your shot off a little bit. You try to adjust. He missed every one. He didn't make a single basket. Maybe the point of the drill was to not make a basket, but he didn't make a single one. And campaign went from being a guy who was 4 points per game here. I mean, he did have an 8-point season, but he was terrible. And he only played 25 games in that season, to being a guy who was a consistent 10-5 guy on a championship roster.
Yeah. That's
my hope for Dalen Terry. Like find your role that fits you, and it may not be here.
Yeah, and that I can see Dalen Terry doing that. And again, and with Cam though, it was like he had that 3. I think it was with 3 good seasons after that, and then he fell right back off. But shout out to him for turning his career around.
He was solid with
it was with the Suns, right?
He was solid with the Suns, and then he went to Milwaukee. He was terrible in Milwaukee.
Yeah, so
but he was solid again with the Sixers. Wasn't he with the Sixers for a little bit?
If he did, I don't remember. So
I think everybody was dead, so he was the only one shooting. So it could have been.
So he had that Quentin Grimes stuff going on. Real quick, I know we so one of these guys are going to be these guys are going to be competing for the 10th spot in the rotation. That's P. Will, Dalen, Julian, Noa Essengue. Who comes away with that 10th man spot in the rotation?
Noa Essengue, because they want to move on from everybody else.
Okay.
I think Dalen will not.
You think Noah's going to play inconsistent but early minutes for the Bulls this year?
I think there's more likely a chance that Billy Donovan would rather see Noah than send P. Will back out there. Okay. Now, I think P. Will may play in the beginning because there's no, $19 million. You got to try and get something out of him. But I truly think it's going to be, hey, buddy, he's the same dude. Let's see what we got in the young kid, just like it was last year. If P. Will get passed up twice, this becomes one of the worst contracts in NBA history.
Oh, facts. Because you didn't have to give it to him. Like it's like they found out how restricted free agency works this season. You could have did that same thing for P. Will last year and said, hey, let's let the market dictate what you're going to get. They would have walked away paying him $5 million.
And then they start P. Will.
Bro.
I'll be sick.
Well, if P. Will comes into training camp and for some reason he actually finally gets it, great. I'm not mad at it. Like P. Will the theory of P. Will can still help this team. But at this point, like, we got to stop giving him minutes and hoping he's going to figure out during his minutes. Let him earn it, bro. Because
the logical mindset would be, if we ever sign this mug. I mean, now it's getting weird. Like, now, have you gotten to the point where you've just looked up and be like, hey, they still ain't signed Josh Giddey yet?
Bro, I had that moment. I literally had that moment last night. I was just like, I can't remember what I was doing. I was like, bro, like, this is crazy, bro. Josh Giddey's still not signed.
He's still not signed, bro. He's going to sign that $11 million QO. But I think the logical path would be Giddey, Coby, Matas, P. Will, or P. Will and Matas, and then Vooch for your starting lineup. Like, but I don't want to see that.
Yeah, no, I'd rather see Isaac Okoro out there at this point. Like, the things you got to do as Bulls fans.
Karan Amagaji, then the Bulls start Pat Will.
As a matter of fact, no, bring in Karan Amagaji as a P. Will replay. Let's let them swap places.
He got skinny legs. He probably can get up there. Probably got a little NBA dreams in his life. He got skinny legs.
Any last thoughts, Pat, before we get up out of here?
Man, let's get up out of here. Follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love.
You guys can follow me at CEO Hayes. Locked On Bulls is free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, Fubo TV, basically anywhere you want us. you can get it. We're also starting a new series tomorrow, so stay in tune with us for that one. Love you guys. Go Bulls. Peace, y'all.